Roberta Flack, the Grammy-winning singer of Killing Me Softly with his song and other major hits, has died. She died at her home surrounded by her family.
But I sang it with so much meaning and depth that a Lutheran minister asked me to sing it at his church service the next Sunday, and I did. I'd like to thank the world.
Roberta Flack's voice didn't just sing, it told stories, painting emotions with every note. Her music touched millions, from The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face to Killing Me Softly, but her journey was filled with unexpected turns, triumphs, and challenges. Today, we remember the legendary artist who changed music forever. Number 1. Early life and musical beginnings. Roberta Flack was born on February 10, 1937 in Black Mountain, North Carolina. From an early age, it was clear she wasn't like other kids. Music wasn't just something she enjoyed, it was something she mastered. Raised in a deeply religious household, Flack's first experiences with music came through church hymns and gospel songs.
Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. And that was a very strong memory for me.
By the time she was a teenager, she was already playing the piano with a skill far beyond her years. Her talent was undeniable. At just 15, Flack did something extraordinary. She earned a full-ride music scholarship to Howard University, one of the most prestigious, historically Black colleges in the country. Not only was she accepted at such a young age, but she also became one of the youngest students to ever attend the school. While she initially studied classical piano, her passion extended far beyond the classical world. She absorbed everything: jazz, soul, blues, folk, blending different genres into a sound that was uniquely hers. During her time at Howard, she trained rigorously, developing the precision of a classical pianist but the soul of a storyteller. However, breaking into the music industry wasn't easy. After graduating, she took a job as a music teacher in Washington, D.C., while performing in local clubs at night. What started as a way to earn extra money soon became a calling. Her performances were intimate, emotional, and magnetic. The small audiences in Washington, D.C. may not have realized it at the time, but they were witnessing the early days of a future legend. Number 2, the discovery that changed everything. Sometimes one moment can change an entire life. For Roberta Flack, that moment came in a dimly lit club in Washington, D.C. As she played the piano and sang to a small audience, jazz musician McCann happened to be in the crowd. McCann was already an established name in the jazz world, and when he heard Flack's voice, he was blown away. He later described her performance as like nothing I'd ever heard before. McCann knew talent when he saw it, and he wasted no time introducing Flack to Atlantic Records, one of the biggest record labels in the world at the time. In 1968, she was officially signed to the label, a moment that would change the course of her life forever. But getting signed was just the beginning. Unlike many artists who spend months or even years crafting their first album, Flack recorded her debut album, First Take, in just 10 hours. That's right, one of the most influential albums in soul music history was created in less than half a day. Her sound was unlike anything else on the radio at the time, smooth yet powerful, intimate yet universal. However, despite its brilliance, First Take didn't become an instant hit. It wasn't until 3 years later, when Clint Eastwood heard one of its tracks, The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, that things took off. He decided to use the song in his 1971 film Play Misty for Me, a move that catapulted Roberta Flack to fame almost overnight. What followed was a career filled with groundbreaking music, chart-topping hits, and a legacy that would inspire generations. But her journey was only beginning. Number 3, a sudden rise to fame. Sometimes the right song at the right time can change everything. Roberta Flack had already recorded The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face as part of her debut album, First Take, in 1969. The song, originally written in the 1950s, had been performed by other artists, but Flack's rendition was something entirely different, a slow, haunting ballad filled with raw emotion. For years, the song remained relatively unknown. But that all changed in 1971 when Clint Eastwood, already a major Hollywood star, stumbled upon it. He was working on his thriller Play Misty for Me and needed a song that would capture the deep, almost obsessive romance between the film's characters. When he heard Flack's version, he knew instantly that it was the one. At first, Flack wasn't sure about letting Eastwood use her song. She had carefully crafted it as a deeply personal piece. But after hearing his passion for the track, she agreed. And the rest is history. when Play Misty for Me hit theaters. The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face became one of the most talked about songs of the year. Radio stations couldn't stop playing it. The track climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1972 and stayed there for 6 weeks. It also won the Grammy Award for Record of the Year in 1973, officially making Flack a superstar. She went from being an unknown singer playing in small clubs to one of the most recognizable voices in the world. But as big as The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face was, her next song would be even bigger. #4, the song that shook the world. While The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face made Roberta Flack a star, Killing Me Softly with his song made her a legend.
When I recorded Killing Me Softly in 1972, I had the same kind of goosebumps. You know, when I sang it, performed it, recorded it, thought about it, as I do now when I hear the Fugees sing it.
But the story behind the song is almost as fascinating as the track itself. The original version of Killing Me Softly wasn't even hers. It was inspired by a real-life experience. A young singer-songwriter named Lori Lieberman had gone to see Don McClain perform American Pie live. She was so moved by the performance that she wrote a poem about the experience, describing how McClain's music made her feel as though he was singing directly to her soul. Her poem was later turned into a song, but it was Roberta Flack who would make it famous. In 1972, while on a plane, Flack heard Lieberman's version of Killing Me Softly over the speakers. Something about the song grabbed her immediately. She later said, "I knew I had to record it. Right away. Like, immediately." As soon as she landed, she tracked down producer Joel Dorn and told him she wanted to put her own spin on the song. Dorn, trusting her instincts, gave her the green light. When Flack's version of Killing Me Softly with his song was released in 1973, it exploded. The song dominated the charts, staying at #1 for 5 weeks and earning Flack her second consecutive Grammy for Record of the Year in 1974, making her the first artist ever to win back-to-back Grammys in that category. The song became one of the most iconic tracks in music history, later covered by the Fugees in the 1990s, introducing a whole new generation to its timeless magic. But while Killing Me Softly was her biggest hit, Flack's career was far from over. #5, a legendary collaboration with Donny Hathaway. While Roberta Flack had already proven herself as a solo powerhouse, some of her most beloved songs came from a collaboration that felt almost magical: her duets with Donny Hathaway. Hathaway was a gifted musician, often described as one of the most soulful voices of his generation. He and Flack first met at Howard University, where both were young musicians trying to make a name for themselves.
She was a prodigy, earning a full music scholarship to Howard University when she was 15.
Their friendship turned into a musical partnership that would change R&B forever. In 1972, the duo released Where Is the Love, a song so powerful and emotional that it won a Grammy for Best Pop Performance by a duo or group. The chemistry between Flack and Hathaway was undeniable. Their voices blended perfectly, creating harmonies that felt effortless and deeply personal. Over the next few years, they continued to collaborate, releasing unforgettable tracks like The Closer I Get to You, You Are My Heaven, and Back Together Again. These songs weren't just chart-topping hits, they were timeless love anthems that would define an era. But behind the music, Hathaway was struggling. He battled severe mental health issues, including paranoid schizophrenia, which made it difficult for him to record and perform. His illness created tension, making their collaboration complicated and emotionally draining. Then, in 1979, tragedy struck. Hathaway passed away under circumstances ruled as self-inflicted, shocking the music world and leaving Flack devastated. Despite the heartbreak, she continued to honor his memory. Even years later, she would speak about their deep connection, calling him a musical soulmate. Their songs remain some of the most beloved duets in music history, and their legacy as one of the greatest vocal pairs lives on. But while Flack continued making music, she would soon face battles of her own. #6, personal challenges and health battles. For decades, Roberta Flack's voice was a force of nature, effortlessly moving between jazz, R&B, soul, and pop. But by the 2010s, her career slowed down, not because she wanted it to, but because her body began to fail her. In 2016, Flack suffered a stroke while preparing to perform at a benefit concert. She was rushed to the hospital, and though she survived, the stroke left her weakened. It became harder for her to perform, and eventually, she was forced to step away from the stage. Even as she recovered, she remained determined to keep her legacy alive. She focused on mentoring young musicians and even established the Roberta Flack Foundation, which aimed to provide music education to underprivileged youth. But in 2022, the music world was hit with heartbreaking news. Flack had been diagnosed with ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. The disease, which affects the nervous system and leads to progressive muscle weakness, made it impossible for her to sing.
Flack announced in 2022 that she had ALS, commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease, and could no longer sing.
For a woman whose life revolved around music, this was a devastating blow. Her management released a statement confirming that she would never perform again. Fans around the world were heartbroken, knowing they would never hear that legendary voice live again. Despite her illness, Flack remained graceful and resilient. She continued to make public appearances, celebrating her legacy and the impact of her music. Even as her body weakened, her spirit never faded. But as time went on, her health continued to decline, and the world prepared to say goodbye to one of the greatest voices in history. Number 7. The final goodbye and her legacy. On February 24, 2025, the world lost Roberta Flack at the age of 88. Though she had spent her final years battling ALS, she remained graceful, dignified, and inspiring until the very end. The news of her passing spread quickly, and tributes poured in from every corner of the music world. Artists, both old and new, expressed their gratitude for her influence. Legends like Stevie Wonder, Alicia Keys, and Lauryn Hill shared heartfelt messages, while fans flooded social media with memories of how her music touched their lives. But perhaps the most powerful tribute was her own music. Unlike many artists who see their popularity fade over time, Flack's songs never disappeared. Killing Me Softly with his song remained one of the most covered and sampled songs of all time, with new generations discovering her through the Fugees version in the 1990s and countless other reinterpretations since. Beyond her music, her influence stretched far beyond the charts. She was a pioneer for Black female artists, proving that music could be intimate, intellectual, and emotionally raw while still achieving mainstream success. She was never the loudest voice in the room, but when she sang, the world stopped and listened. Even though she is gone, her voice remains. Her songs are still played at weddings, in movies, and on playlists of fans who weren't even born when they were first released. Her music wasn't just entertainment, it was emotion, history, and storytelling all in one. And that's why, even after her passing, Roberta Flack will never truly be forgotten. Legends never really die. Their voices, their words, and their impact live on forever. Roberta Flack wasn't just a singer. She was a storyteller, a trailblazer, and a voice that could make you feel every emotion in a single note. Her music still moves people decades later, and that's the mark of a true icon. Which Roberta Flack song means the most to you? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this tribute, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can celebrate her incredible legacy. Rest in peace, Roberta Flack. Your voice will never fade.